Imagine being able to ask yourself a question and hearing an answer, receiving an answer that you can trust and have confidence in the answer that you get, right? That's what it is that I teach, okay? Is your inner discernment, being able to listen to the right voice that you hear inside of you, that right feeling that you have, and then the ability to trust and have confidence in that answer, right? And it's these three things: the seeking understanding, asking yourself a question, that inquiry, right? Knowing what question to ask. And then number two is confidence in believing yourself, believing the answer, believing the guidance that you're getting. And then three is trusting yourself, trusting that answer, and trusting the process that answer is giving you. That the direction in which you're heading is the direction in which you need to be going. Right? Now, it's taken a long time for me to develop each one of these level of inquiry, seeking to understand, right? That confidence in self and not arrogance, right? There's a fine but distinct line between confidence and arrogance, and then trust. And when I say trust, I don't mean having faith. I mean trust, right? Like if you've ever done any slacklining or anything that requires balance, you're up there and you're finding that balance and you're trusting yourself to find that balance. You're not having faith that, okay, cool, I'm going to balance. You're actively seeking that feeling of balance, that trust. You're trusting yourself in the process, right? So, what does this actually look like? How does this actually pertain to life, right? So, let me tell you a story. A couple years ago, I was in a communication course with my lovely partner Kelsey, and at this point we had been together for, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years maybe, and we were engaged to get married. Right, we had been engaged for 2 years, and we were in this communication course, and for a while leading up to that communication course, for a while leading up to that day, I'd had this nagging feeling somewhere in my being, right? And I didn't exactly know what to do with it. And what was happening is it was coming out in all these negative ways. It was affecting the relationship that I was having with Kelsey. And so here we are in this communications course, learning how to authentically communicate and have those challenging conversations, those what we call courageous conversations. And I felt this feeling coming up, and it was like, oh God, it honestly felt like I was going to vomit, right? Like, kind of nauseous. And I knew that I had to share this thought that I was feeling, this thought that I was thinking, this thing that I was holding inside of me, and too scared to actually bring out to the open. I thought that if I were to openly share what I was going through, my entire life would crumble. I thought that Kelsey would leave me. I thought that would be the end of our relationship. And I thought that I would lose everything, right? And so that's why I had, up to this point, not done anything about it and just let it kind of wreak havoc in my life. So Kelsey and I, in this communication course, we get to the point of we're partnered up and we're sharing. And I think it was on withholding, like what's something that you haven't said that you know you need to. And I'm like, man, here it is, like here's the perfect opportunity. So I look at Kelsey in the eye and I say, I don't know if I love you. And I remember as soon as those words were out of my mouth, right, my energy, my stomach, call it what you want, I don't know, it was just like plummeted. It was like the floor beneath me just gave way. And I was like, holy shit. And everything kind of got like, focused in, and like I got tunnel vision and, all that kind of stuff. And then Kelsey and I, so the partner section was up, so we separated and got new partners. And for the next 30 minutes, it felt like the walls around me were crumbling. It felt like my life was falling in on top of me. The new partner that I was with, I couldn't remember, I couldn't be present with anything that he was saying because of what I just said to Kelsey and because of what I was internally going through in the moment, right? And that was a tremendously challenging time for me, and what it opened was the ability to have confidence in myself. And when I say confidence, I mean the ability to know that I'm going to be okay regardless of whatever is happening outside of me, right? Is that okay? Cool. I am confident in my ability to get through this. I'm confident in my truth, in my inner knowingness, so that whatever is going on, I'll be okay, right? And it wasn't necessarily a pleasant experience, right? And it did radically shift my life, being able to speak powerfully and boldly to this person that meant the world to me, right? So fast forward a little bit, and we were driving home. We had a 3-hour drive home that day, and it created this context to have a really beautiful conversation with one another. And we actually, ended up creating what we now call the 10 non-negotiables, and just getting really clear on the relationship that we want and how to create that relationship, and where to like, what does it mean to be in love? What does that actually mean for us, right? And at that point, because I had already like flattened my world, I was able to speak confidently what it was that I needed in that relationship for myself. And that is ultimately what allowed us to move forward in a powerful, conscious way, right? So that's the story about like confidence, and I mean that obviously goes into trust and discernment and the level of understanding and seeking to understand, and for you watching this right now, right, wondering, okay, how can I create confidence in my life, right? What you want to do is find an area in your life that makes you slightly uncomfortable. Find a relationship or a conversation with someone, or an activity or an action that is pushing your comfort zone, and you want to do it, right? I mean, that's really all there is to it, is putting yourself out there and trusting in your ability to be okay, being confident in your ability to be okay, even if you fall on your face, if you make a complete fool of yourself, if it turns out to be an utter disaster. By merely taking the action, you will build confidence in yourself. And when we actually break down what confidence is, it's not something that you can see, it's not something that you can like hold on to. It's, like, what is confidence, right? And so my invitation to you is to get out a piece of paper and a pen and think about that. Just write down the question, what is confidence to me? And write down what comes up, just whatever it is. And then read it back to yourself a few times and just play around with this for 5-10 minutes and see what's there. And by doing this, you'll be able to hone in on what it is that you believe, because your beliefs shape your thoughts, and your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions give you the results, right? And so when you get really clear on what confidence means to you, you can then go out and create actions, take actions that will support that belief and that will give you the result of, cool, here's me being confident. And then once you have the result, you can take that result, and that's empirical evidence that you can then put in your back pocket to pull out and be like, hey, remember that time that I didn't think I could do this thing, but then I did it and it worked out? Wow, yeah, totally. Be confident, right? So that's confidence for you. And yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear what came up for you in this process. And I would love to have a conversation with you at some point, deepening this conversation, deepening this distinction, your beliefs, all that good stuff. So feel free to send me a message and share this with someone who you think could use some confidence. So thank you very much. Really appreciate your time and you being here. Take care.